Okay, let's get this started. Welcome everybody to PTRU. We are going to, the goal is to finish up Silken Court and then start into Ansurek tonight. So without further ado, Silken Court, we are to the point where it's basically the final overlap in P3 that we really need to discuss and get down conceptually. It's the hardest part of the fight. Everybody agrees that's the case, and really the fight will fall over once we understand this and are able to execute it. So what I'd like to do is talk about it in terms of from each team's POV. I'll start with the fire trucks. So we did a damage amp here in the middle, and then the boss teleports one final time. We follow. Blue team, you end up towards the middle of the room. Red team, you beta frontal and end up towards the outside of the room, right? Like we've done before. Blue team pixel stacks for this, for the web vortex. Red team is aiming to keep their webs because we need to stop a charge, and we're doing a charge and dispels at the same time. So this is the tricky part. So red team, you avoid soaking the blue orbs, but blue team, you will still soak the red orbs. You snap your webs, soak the red orbs around here, and you're going to stay around here, while red team moves towards the middle of the room. Now, a couple of things to notice here. So let's talk about it from red team's perspective. So red team, we are going to stop the charge. We need to actually go past the middle of the room for a couple of different reasons. Number one is because this homeboy, after he hits the charge, he doesn't stop right where the webs are. He stops almost like a full hitbox after the web. So we kind of want him to stop near where the other boss is, because that is just more efficient for damage. And also, we want to be up here because this gets us out of the way of blue. If we're sitting here in the middle of the room, then we're in the way of dispels. We're in the way of blue when they're doing the dispels, so we want to get there. So we keep our webs. If you are webbed to me, I am going to snap the web and also soak the orbs over here. Where's the little priesty thing? So I'll be an angel, like right about here, right? Wherever the blue soaks are. So blue team, you want to just be aware that I am right here as an angel and you don't want to run into me. So that's just something to be aware of. Red team, once we stop the charge, you can converge and just be close to this guy, hit this guy, hit the amps, do max damage. Red team, the trick of this is, and typically I wouldn't discourage this because we've actually had some pretty good comms of people saying, here, I'll go on the far side, you stay there, or whatever. We are doing dispels at the same time, so you cannot take up any comms. You just need to posture and basically through body language communicate with your team member who's going to what side, because you can't take up any comms while we're calling dispels. Dispels will be the most important thing to comm, whereas we should be able to coordinate this without any sort of communication over mics necessary. So a couple of things that are weird about that is, yeah, who's ever webbed to me will get snapped. So there should be 4 webs remaining if everybody's still up, maybe 3, and 3 is all we need. If everybody on the red team is not up. And then, yeah, just coordinate it without any comms. Okay, and that's from blue team's perspective, right? So blue team, you pixel stack, then you get pulled. You will run through to the wall, spread, snap your webs, and soak over here. You want to be aware, pretty much always, the first dispel will be on the wall here. So, and the thing to note about this, and that's going to feel weird about this dispel, is that it's in the middle of the charge, right? But you have to just trust the red team is going to stop it. If they don't stop it, it's a wipe anyway. So you actually have to go into the charge, and so it feels weird to do that, but you're actually safe there because the red team's blocking up here. So first dispel under the boss in the charge, and then the second and third and fourth dispel will be in the middle. If you are the second dispel on the blue team, you need to be very careful about me, I'm a roadblock here, and possible errant members of the red team. So as you are making your way towards the middle, just watch and be careful. The only thing that matters here is that you live, right? So don't worry about DPS, just watch your health bar and watch your surroundings along the way. And then blue team, you can make your way towards the center and we finish off the boss. And that's all you need to know about that. Let's just watch it through here from Echoes' point of view, and we'll kind of talk about it as it goes here. Let's see. So they just had their second damage amp. And so now they're going to set up for this. So this is here. Blue is pixel stacked, and red's on the outside. Red running through, not soaking the orb. So dispels are already out right now. So you're calling dispels while red team is organizing.
Next is Mono by Calicus in 2, 1 now. Kusuk by Mikey in 2, 1 now. Void Shuffle by Awake in 2, 1 go.
It's already over basically at this point. Right, and we saw this once. This is an enrage. The big boy is just going to hit the tank really hard, so we just put everything on the tanks, mass, like just spam heal current tank. That's really all that matters here. And then they end up killing it from here. So let's talk through that here a little bit, play by play, as it's happening. So red keeping their web, running through the mid here. They dodge the orbs, and dispels are coming already. So red team is posturing now to try and figure out where they are. Notice that the first two dispels are blue, and so red team doesn't need to worry about anything like that just yet. Although having the dispel on you and the web is a lot, right? So we should be, this is a huge defensive moment. We should be emptying the kitchen sink, watching our HP to live here, and then what I don't like about what they do is they don't go far enough. I would like them to be going past the middle, right? So the middle is, it's hard to see right now, but the middle's right here. I want all these webs past the middle. I would prefer that they would be here, just like we have it on the plan here. That would be better. Just overall, it would be a lot safer for everybody as the blue team starts funneling in here for dispels. And it's actually better for the damage amp as well. But damage doesn't matter as much, right? It's just about living, so they made it work. And then this is super scary too, because he breathed into the middle as they were calling dispels in the middle. So we've got a lot of people that are close. They kind of got away with it here. They didn't play it as clean as they could have, but this is really dangerous the way they're playing. Sorry, where I interrupted you.
No, I interrupted you. My question was about the webs. You said that it's more of a defensive play, right? Wouldn't it be better then to be a little bit closer to blue, so we're still in range of blue healers too? Because it's real scary. That overlap is like as you said, it's everything you got. Typically, I use 2 different defensives and a potion, and I'm nearly dead, and I'm at DK.
Possibly.
So
yeah, and we're also, the healers aren't as used to it, so right, like we don't get as many healing globals off. Possibly, although I think it's in range of heals is good, but it's also more danger because like if you are here, right, then all of a sudden now blue team can't get in, right? They can't get into the second dispel. So you want to be like, you can be here, right? As long as you're on this half of the room, like if you divide the room this way, you know, this is like red half and this one's blue half. So you can be just barely on this side. So this could be a little closer. You should be in range of healers if you're here. This is 40 yards, but mostly, yeah, I think it's more important probably to be safe and leave an alleyway for blue to get to the middle than the healer range there. But part of that it depends on like how many defensives you have up. Let me take a look here and see what coolies we have planned, what coolies should be running and are available. I don't remember. Okay, so this is the third web vortex, so it's like somewhere after 8:03, 8:30. I'm running Apotheosis. Halo comes up. We have a Flourish later. We do have Avenging Crusader later. Right away, we don't have too much. Muck is kind of carrying this one. He's got the Ascendants. You have AMZs you can throw during this available. And then
that's hard though, right? Like AMZs, we're all spread out.
Yeah, I mean you got you're okay because you can either throw it on your side or the other team's side, and these people are the people taking the most damage anyway. But yeah, it's like a small consolation CD for sure.
It feels so useless in some of these fights, man.
Vaskin should have his AG coming up, and then we've got the personals running, so, and then we've got a Zephyr as well. So there's quite a bit of defensive going on raid-wise there, but still, it is pretty scary. So yeah, it's a really good Hellstone Health Pot moment if you haven't burned it already at this point in the fight, because it is the hardest part for sure. But yeah, I don't know. It's a tough trade-off. If I trusted red to get the heck out of the way, right? Like after that, then you could be closer for sure. But I don't know. Like I think in the heat of the moment, it's going to be hard for red to know where to go after the charge. I think they're going to be flipped around if they don't just go far to begin with. But maybe not. Because let's see what that overlap looks like here with the, as far as like the timing is concerned, between when he charges and when the second dispel is.
Red, you're keeping your web here. Red, spread out and keep your web. Red, spread out and keep your web.
Pixel stack, get pulled. That's a really nice stack they got there. We did pretty well with our stacks the few times that we've gotten there too. So here's the first dispel. Second dispel should be okay. So they could get, so yeah, that's the charge, and then the second dispel is right there. It's literally a 1 second of difference. So blue should pretty much already be there. So yeah, I think that kind of confirms my decision. I think red already being on the far side is like the more of the 100% play, as scary as it is on your health bar. Cool. Okay. So I think that's it. You guys have any more thoughts or questions about it before we wrap up Silken Court knowledge? We basically have the knowledge now. It's just down to execution. Hopefully we don't kill it while Vex is gone on Sunday.
Yeah.
That'd be...
Vex is gone on Sunday?
Yeah, that'll be pretty sad.
For how long? All day?
Yeah, his fiance booked him a Christmas party that he needs to go to. Okay, so Queen Ansurek. Let's talk about Queen Ansurek a little bit. So, first phase, not too much actually different from Heroic, believe it or not, except for there are 3 pops that come up later, and you can't pop at the same time. You have to have a second between each pop, and so you have to stagger the pops. But for the most part, mechanically, not that different. It's just so tight, and like DPS check wise, and also damage done to players, we have to execute it very specifically, and also we have to maximize space in the room. So typical last boss, everything matters. We need to maximize everything. So we got to bring our A game in terms of knowledge about our class and how it plays on the fight, as well as how the fight works. So we have some assignments here as far as like the pops and who's going where. I have it listed out as well in the Discord channel. So outside of the room and melee players are going to be on star down here. Middle, once it splits into 3, is going to be these circle players, mid players, and then the ranged and middle of the room, inside of the room, is going to play here. I have poppers assigned here with the red text for each one. So if you are assigned, you are assigned. So just be aware of that. And so you just need to memorize where you're going. Everybody's pretty consistent, right, across the board. The one that I would say is weird is Jan actually swaps from outside to star to circle for the last set. So he goes star, star, circle. Pretty much everybody else, as long as you know your first and second one, the third one is the same as the second. I try to keep that consistent. Then we've got roots. Roots, we really can't spend any time DPSing roots in terms of the DPS check on this fight, and so everybody should be breaking their roots. I have marked in red here 3 roots that cannot be broken, but everybody else should be able to break their roots. Everybody pretty much has the same buttons. LK, Swabbles, and I are kind of in a weird doubles 3-way thing going on where we kind of swap who's using cooldowns when, but Swabbles will get LK, then me, then back to LK, because LK is going to disperse the second set, and I have Gnome up for these 2. Then Jan is a little weird in that he is going to Freedom Blast on the second set, so he's going to bubble second, Freedom Blast, but he's going to Freedom himself on first and second. So Jan, your positioning, if you are listening to this, Jan, hopefully you're listening to the recording, your positioning is a little weird, and your Freedom bubbles is all weird. I have in the note, I have this all set up for you guys so that there are reminders in real time for what you are doing, but just have a conceptual idea of this in your heads beforehand, and that'll help out a lot. Cavill, I just have warrior stuff here. You can plan this out. There's like 6 different buttons that warriors can do to get out of roots. So I just trust you to do that. And then Dirt, you have some freedom here. This is what I have set up right now, but I don't know if Dirt, you're listening to this. Oh, Dirt's in here. What up? Are you getting a bacon blaze right now, or are you here?
No, I already got it.
Let's go. Okay, so as far as the timings are right here, right? We got 16 seconds, 56, and 150. If you want your vanish somewhere for DPS, I don't know how it works. You might want to put it in a different spot. For right now, you have cloak and vanish. You can even get rooted if you want on a different one, like on one or 2.
That way we just focus everyone focuses the one route really quickly.
It should be able to be cleaved off of the boss. They should put it right there, but the reason that I don't want it on 2 is because 2 is the tougher overlap. So I like that everybody breaks here and there's not a single route, and we can set up for the hard dodges and overlap for that one. But you do have some freedom here, Dirt, to kind of pick and choose where you want these. So maybe just take a look at that and let me know what you think, or even after some polls, you can figure out like what feels best to use. But you should be able to break out of 2 of the routes, and then 1 of them you need to get rooted on, and you'll just get rooted close to the boss and we'll cleave you down.
I might reverse those cooldowns. Okay, that's cool.
Like you'll vanish first and then cloak this one, or
Yeah.
Okay, and then rooted on the 3rd is fine, you think?
Yeah. Or
okay.
gnome out of it.
You can, if you are a gnome, you can gnome it. I didn't think you were going to race change for this, but if
I
you,
didn't either, but we'll see.
yeah, if you want, you can. I did, but no
Yeah,
no pressure.
I'll do banish first because
That's
kind of a big DPS loss for me to hold it.
for coolies. You may want to look into it, Dirt, as well. People are saying sub is insane for this fight, but you know, I think assassination should be fine as well, but sub is like pretty ideal for some of the harder parts and where the burst is needed and that sort of thing. That's what I've been hearing. I don't know much more about it than that, so I trust you to look into it and figure out what you think is best for the team, and you'll do that.
All right, I'll check it out.
Nice, Sue. Okay, so that's it for the assignments. So definitely check that out. Check it out in Discord. It's there for you guys to peruse. Let's talk a little bit of what this looks like raid plan wise, right? So in order to get the liquefy all together, we have to stack like directly on the butt. Basically, if you imagine this line segment here, we need to be at least at the halfway point of the line segment. So that's like right about here, or on this side of that halfway point of the line segment. Anything outside of that is too far out and will expand and get closer towards the center of the room. We don't want that. And also it starts to multiply pretty quickly. We are very conservative about space right at the beginning of the fight, but as you'll see later, we actually spread out and use quite a bit of the room later for the harder overlaps. So that's why we conserve early, is so that we can actually go and use more space later for the more dangerous overlaps. In general, as far as tenants are concerned on the fight and P1 is concerned, the tenets I would say for this one is that like we've got to be a bit patient with each other. Just the fact of the matter is that web blades are extremely hard to dodge. They're like they're as fast as like the knives on Kaiveza. So a lot of people get hit by those, right? But they're also wider than the knives on Kaiveza. So I've heard from a lot of players that it's extremely difficult. So we got to have a little bit of patience for each other, and also, you know, challenge ourselves individually to master that mechanic. There are some things that we can do to make it easier. We'll talk about that in a second, but I would say that's the number one tenet, is just a little patience and grace for one another as we get frustrated messing up that web blades mechanic. It's going to murk us for a while. Okay, so we bait the liquefy, right? And then the liquefy goes here, and then we put the silken tombs. Now, if we're going to all break out of it, right, except for Blast on this first one. So Blast, you'll want to pick one of these. The boss is, for visual clarity, the boss isn't here, but the boss will be like here-ish. So you want to be one of the ranged that's like close to the boss here, Blast. Mages can be out here as it's picked, because when they blink in, it actually drops the route wherever they blink to, not where they blink from. So they can conserve some space and make this easier for everybody. But basically the idea right here is we're hugging the liquefy and are close to the boss. So this is the way that it kind of shakes out. Everybody breaks their roots except for Blast, and then the reason that we conserve the space is because just like on Heroic, it leaves a puddle of webs on the ground that expands, so we've got to tuck it in like nice and tight. Cool. So then after that, we get web blades. Melee, just in general, the idea for melee is to stack and dodge together, because if you are all spread out and you're baiting web blades spread out, there's almost nowhere to go that's safe, and you can actually get yourself into a no-win situation very quickly. But if you're stacked and you bait the web blades on top of each other, and you agree on which direction to dodge on each one of them, and so we move in a nice tandem fashion in agreement with one another, it makes it a lot easier. Ranged in general is huge here, because range can be spread out as long as we're far away from the melee. We're not going to screw them over too much, so we will be spread out and away for web blades. Then just like on Heroic, we get a toxin drop. There's 2 on the first one, which we have assigned here for who's in which one. So star, melee side, outside of the room, circle, range side, inside of the room. So you just need to visualize who you are there. Actually, I can put that over here so you can reference that for this one. So this is reactive toxin 1. And so Blast is popping circle here, and Vex is popping star. It's a plan. After we pop it, remember star is actually always first pop, and it's at about 1.5 seconds left on the pop. Then we wait 1 second, and this should be about at right as it pops, or a half second before it pops is when circle will go off. There is on the weak aura basically a countdown that tells you are popping, and then it counts down exactly when you should pop. So if we follow that, then we'll be in good shape. And that's part of the reason actually I wanted to use Northern Skies. It helps you out with that and with some externals for the shackled people on P3 later, but we'll talk about that later. Okay, so after we pop the toxins, Blast is assigned to go more towards the inside of the room out here, and it leaves us with this corridor. We are dodging waves, Vex on the outside. As we discussed during Heroic today, Blast and Vex, you are now in hard mode of this fight because you took a poison damage taken increase for the rest of phase 1 because you popped once. So you cannot get hit by any of these circles, swirlies for the rest of the phase. So heads up, enjoy that. That is just the cards you were dealt. Sorry, I don't make the rules. So then, after that pop, we set up for another liquefy. Now notice that this gets baited kind of back into the cleavage here. We go back in, and the raid goes back in here. So it's very similar to this idea, and we tuck it in as close as we can to the webs. Tank goes into the spoos there, and the raid here gets right into the cleavage and baits the liquefy, and then we move out. You do not want to be out ahead baiting swirlies because you are going to screw your team, so you got to get in there. Very specific positioning with not much leeway there. Okay, after we drop that liquefy there, then we set up for another webs. So it's a similar idea here, where we are going to be spread and dropping our webs. We should all be able to break out of these. If Jan Bubbles and Freedom's blast, then we'll be in good shape here. And that leads to the first triple toxin drop. So reactive toxin 2. Now notice here, we've been playing the boss pretty close to all of this. This is where we start using some room. So the boss gets dragged out pretty far here, tanks. You have to go pretty far to give some space. Now ranged is going to play on these markers, spread out and ready. Ranged, obviously you actually want to lean towards the ones that are closer. So Bana, Blast, Fask, and Muck, you want to lean towards circle because that's where you're going to pop and most likely be assigned to drop as well. The other thing, I just remembered another tenant I need to go over as well, but and then so everybody that's around diamond here should be spread out kind of around diamond, and so we want this kind of spread here for the web blades that we're dodging, and then so we're ready for the drops and the pops later. Melee, you stack here and dodge together. You will dodge, you'll move out and you'll dodge back to star because you're going to be playing on star. So the first dodge was actually out this way towards star, and this dodge is back this way towards star. You just want to be stacked, ready for web blades, and move together, and you should be able to find a safe spot where you're not going to get murked by the web blades. That's the setup for Toxin Drop 2. We drop and pop, and then we get a huge move after this pop. So range can kind of stay back here, but all the poppers, which is right, Cav, Buckus, and myself, we move forward towards this line. You see there's a line right here, or basically want to make it to here. Notice that the tanks are dragging into here as we move in out. We're dodging waves behind us. This is what we call the hellish overlap. This is where the web blades are coming out. We've got waves as well, and we've got these circles popping. This is a lot going on, all at the same time. Melee, you want to follow, stack for web blades, and dodge into the center. The reason you don't want to dodge this way, even though this is the first one that'll pop, this one will pop, then this one will pop, then this one will pop, and so you'll be tempted to go this way. You want to go this way because you do not want to pin yourself with the waves coming after you dodge the web blades. You don't want to pin yourself into the wall and give yourself less options to dodge. You're more likely to get murked if you head left here, as tempting as that looks. So that's the way that is. So we do those pops there. Then there is a liquefy where we're more spread. So we're dropping more kind of liquefies around here. Then we'll do roots into, and these roots are roots 3, right? So this would be the one that dirt might get rooted on, and blast probably. So you guys can play. Notice I've already placed you here right in front where the tank is, and the tank can actually drag the boss on top of those as we're moving this way later. So that's the plan for that. Melee here, ranged, you can kind of stay back a little bit and fill in the roots and the liquefies that are all spread out here. That's the filler set. And then we move quite a bit forward. Like, look at this move. This is insane, this move of the boss for this mechanic. But you want to get really far here, and then you drop web blades and then dodge back to star again, melee. So you stack, dodge back to star again. The thing is, though, is this pop is much tighter, and this is the reason that Jan actually moves into the circle from here, is because you want the least amount of players in star as possible, because it's very hard, melee, to get here fast enough. You actually end up popping star with a monk transcend, because it's so dangerous to get into the circle and pop it while the web blades are still out. So this is a tough overlap as well for melee. It's just kind of ramps up in the difficulty towards the end of this phase. And then, yep, circle and star or diamond to follow. This is swabbles, this is muck, and this one's yerp. Are popping these ones. It always goes star, circle, diamond towards the center. And then once they make that pop, then we go to these positions after the pop happens to set up for intermish. Cool. So that's the plan. I know I just like verbally spewed a lot of stuff, but what I'd like to take from this is just we need to get very familiar with how this is going to go, plan out our cooldowns, plan out our movement, and get very comfortable with that. We also, the other thing. So with drops, right? The drop is going to assign you where to drop it. It'll say drop on star or drop on circle. This is very similar to Firac, where it kind of like you have an assignment of where you're typically supposed to go, but it could kind of RNG into like 2 melee are assigned, and then it's like, oh crap, like who goes where, or 2 ranged, oh crap, who goes where on these drops. Don't get too assigned to, or like, I don't know, anal about whatever it says on your screen. Just communicate with the players, either with body language or get on the mic really quick. I'll go far or whatever. If you're a fast boy, just know that you should be going far. It just kind of depends on, you just don't get married to whatever's on your screen. You want to like react to what you see and work with the other player to make sure that you get these drops. And it's much more important once you start getting to the triple drops, right? So once you have these triple drops that happen, if it's like all 3 range players, then you want to just coordinate with one another to figure out who's going where. and getting on the mic is going to be very helpful. So other than, you know, being patient with the players dodging web blades, the other tenet is hop on the mic and for the toxin drops, and be willing to drop in a location that's a little different from what you're seeing on the screen, because the weak aura does not know where you are standing. When it assigns you to kind of a general area that it expects you to be in, but it does not know where you are at the time. So it's dumb in that sense. So it's a decent place to start with whatever it assigns you to, but it's not the be all end all. It does not matter as long as there are 3 drops on the marks. Who does it does not matter. The pops matter and where you are for the popping, of course, but not for the drops. Well, that makes sense. Okay, anybody have any questions, or us kind of watching that through? Would that make the most sense here? And then I think we're going to call it. So I've been going on this for quite some time, given a lot of material to absorb. Okay, no questions. Then let's just watch this through really quick. I'll try to not pause it too much, and I'll also follow along with the raid plan of what's happening as it's happening, so you can have visuals on both sides here. And we'll go with that. Cool. And drag the boss all the way to the corner. Raid is stacking, baiting the liquefy. And then immediately they're condensed right into their positions for web drops, breaking roots. And then we're dodging web blades together. To the drops, get to your circle. First pop is star, should be happening now. Good. Second pop is orange, happens there. Good. That's there, we're dodging that. Then we're baiting this liquefy. Back in, everybody's stacked in. Now we move. And then we're getting ready for second roots here. 56 seconds in. Second roots happen. We break as many of those as we can. That should be everybody actually right there. Then it's web blades into range spread around the back. And look at how even the Augavoker is stacked here, and look at how clean this is. When they stack there and they're really patient. They wait, go, right? So that they can like bait multiple stacks. That's so clean. And get their drops here. So now you got the triple. So you go to your assigned location. First pop, second pop, third pop. They run forward, like way forward, and you're dodging. This is a really tough overlap right here. We just make it work. Roots 3. They're gonna fill in kind of back here range a little bit. Melee under the boss. Anybody that can't break is going to be here. Then they drag well forward here to prepare for drops and pops. So we are spread for toxins, but melee is stacked, waiting for web blades. Now notice how quickly they drop, web blades come out, and they head to star, and the pop happens right after web blades are out. So you have like no time to get there. You need to get into the circle during web blades. So you don't want to bait any in front of the group right there. They made that look really clean because they did well. But that's it. And that's the first 2.5 minutes of the fight. GG. Any comments, any questions before we call it a night, boys?
You ready to do this like Sunday evening?
Hell yeah, dude. Imp, are you going to be there? We're going to be able to have you?
Where? Sunday?
On Sunday?
Sunday.
Hell yeah. Okay, so yeah, we got a good sub for Vex. So yeah, we should be able to
But
do
don't
it.
forget, Core doesn't want to kill it on Sunday. He said it earlier today already.
I mean, I do and I don't, right? It's bittersweet. I want to kill it like first pull on Sunday, but I also feel bad for Vex. You know, it feels bad to put in like 200 plus pulls and then not get the kill of it. You know, it is what it is.
I'll sandbag for you, Vex. Don't worry.
Don't do it. Cool. Yeah, I feel like I'm ready. Do I seem like I'm ready? I feel like I'm ready. At least for P1, I'm ready, which is probably going to be like 3 nights of Prague. So I think I'm like a week and a half ahead of where I need to be.
So spicy like that. It feels like it's going to be a little wild.
It's very individual skill based. Like you really need to know the mechanics and make good decisions. So it's like Kaiveza E, it's kind of like Rashanon or Rashok, like wave dodging and blade dodging. So it's like Rashok on steroids. And so you just
like blade dodging and blade baiting and
yep, and wave dodging and like knowing all of your assignments. It's a lot. So, you know, this fight will get a hell of a lot easier the more we can solidify P1 for sure. The intermission's not too bad. There's not too much going on there. Once P1's set up and you have enough space for intermission, it's not too bad. But yeah, the more we know our classes and where we're supposed to be using our cooldowns and where our strengths are in the fight and know like the mechanics exactly and how we're going to handle them, we can quickly prog from there. But yeah, it'll be a lot of patience the first few nights on P1 to let everybody kind of get up to speed on that chaos that's going to be ensuing. It comes out really fast too. Yeah, the mechanics just happen very fast.
Yeah, it seems like Sakhareth almost.
Yes. Yes, 100%. I think so too. It's gonna come at you very fast. And then you've got this overlap is just so scary. After the pops, you've got wet blades and you've got waves at the same time. That is nasty. Showsies.
Learning patience to not move the web blades around is going to be tough too, because you want to move out of the way, right?
Yeah, at the very first one you see, but you actually want to wait a half second to possibly bait a second one on top of the first one. That would be ideal. But yeah, there was a little bit of, I remember Max during Prague was saying like, wait, move. Like during the web blades, wait, move. And that's kind of the cadence we want to start feeling out. Good call.